Did you know there's such a thing as a reading journal? Because I didn't for a really long time, and yes, I talk about books on YouTube, don't judge me, okay? I've been going through life writing book notes on my phone and then translating them into reviews, and although it's been working well for me so far, there's always room to try something new. So when a reading journal appeared in my monthly Fairyloot box, I thought, it's time. Time to give this reading journal thing a go and see if it has the ability to replace how I currently do things. So in this video, I'm going to take you on a journey with me for 1 month while I give this whole reading journal thing a go. So let's start by looking at the journal itself. When I was thinking about doing this challenge, I wanted to keep things as straightforward as I possibly could. I'm a firm believer in when trying something new, you should make it as simple as possible. There are a huge number of videos and social media posts out there that will help you create the most in-depth reading journals you can imagine. Filled with trackers, cover pages, TBR lists, you name it. But for this month, I want to keep things basic to see if it's something I might stick with. So, let's take a look at the journal. This journal is very pretty, sure, but it's also straightforward. Every page is the same. You've got your basic book information like title, author, and genre, then the book's release date, the dates you've read it in, and what format the book is in. Then there's a section for your notes, then a section for your rating, a summary of the book in 3 words, and the book's page count. That's it. As far as reading journals go, this is pretty simple. Perfect for this experiment. So here's my plan. I have a set of books I'm planning to read this month, starting right now. I'll then use my reading journal rather than my phone to make notes, and then I'll of course use those notes to write my reviews. This is a personal choice. If you don't write reviews, then keeping a reading journal might just be a nice way to look back at the books that you've read recently and see what you thought. So in my case, let's get to reading. Okay, so from what I've used of the journal so far, there's not too much difference between me using my phone versus using something like a reading journal to make my notes, but there are a few things I did notice. The space to actually write my notes is pretty small, and because I use my reading notes to write reviews, I make quite a lot of notes, and this amount of room just might not cut it. I'm going to take all my kind of thoughts at the beginning and with a pinch of salt though, because this is just an experiment, and if I were to continue doing a reading journal in the future, I may well create my own spreads in the book so that I could determine how much room I need for writing notes and everything else, and I could be really specific on the type of things that it wants me to put in. So I'm going to keep reading, and I'm going to check back in next week and see how we're doing. But for now, I'm going to get back to it. So another week has passed, and I've actually quite enjoyed not using my phone for writing notes down. The journal allows for that technology disconnect, which I sometimes feel is missing from my personal reading experience. However, this journal in particular is just not geared up to accept the number of notes I want to add to it. Honestly, if you're the type of person who writes more than a few sentences on one book, there's not enough room. I used 3 pages for the ocean at the end of the lane alone. Then there's writing the reviews. When writing notes on my phone, reviews are so much faster to write because I'm essentially just editing them. Now I'm having to type up the notes and then rework them for a review, which just takes extra time. This is potentially a huge downside for me because I'm not sure what's more important, being able to write reviews quickly or being able to stay away from my phone while I'm reading. I had considered getting a digital notepad to bridge that gap, but right now they're really expensive. Either way, today I'm starting a new book, so we'll see how we go. So we're into week 3 of me trying out this reading journal, and I have to say I'm really enjoying it. There may be literally no room to write in the actual journal, and I'm having to write across multiple pages, and writing notes up on my computer when I'm writing reviews is a pain. But being away from my phone while I'm reading is a big bonus, one I didn't really expect, and I'm not sure why. I feel more relaxed and present while reading with my phone so far away or out of sight, which is kind of obvious when you think about it because I even talked about it in a previous video. But now that I'm actually putting it into practice, I can really feel the change. This week I also posted a poll on YouTube asking you guys if you'd ever tried a reading journal, and your responses were really interesting. So let me finish my current book and we'll take a closer look at that. So let's take a little look at some of your responses. One person in particular said that they've been using a reading journal for 2 years now, but they don't use it in the way that I have. Instead, they track their reading habits almost like I would using Goodreads or the Storygraph, but they do it manually. It never even crossed my mind to try a reading journal in this way, but if you're a more manual and hands-on person, then I can see that this would be a really nice way to use a reading journal, and it would be really mindful too. Another person said that they use their reading journal in a similar way, but they add in their thoughts as well. Much like a booktuber would talk about the books they've read in a wrap-up video, they do this in their journal. There's a big mix of comments on the poll, but for the most part, people have either set a routine or habit with their reading journal, or they've never even heard of one. For me, I'm going to keep using this reading journal until it runs out. Keeping away from my phone and writing my notes down in here has been a much more pleasant experience than I thought it would be. Then perhaps once this journal runs out, I might try one that suits me more. Give a bullet journal a go, or maybe even create my own. But I'd love to know from you, do you use a reading journal? If so, how do you use it? And if you don't, are you thinking about giving it a try now that you've watched this video? I would love to know, so leave me a comment. And if you like this experiment video and want another one, check out the video on screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.